and a medical and intuitive astrologist. She is an internationally acclaimed speaker who has presented her work worldwide. Laura is the great-granddaughter of President Dwight David Eisenhower, and she reveals exopolitical information about his administration that has been largely held in secrecy. She is considered to be one of North America's leading researchers and experts on health, exopolitics, alchemy, metaphysics, astrology, and galactic history. Laura works to free us from the 3D holographic time loops, false archonic systems, and the military-industrial complex. She seeks to expose hidden agendas so we can take our power back. Feeling a calling regarding her mission since she was a child, she has gained incredible insight through her wilderness adventures, psychic development, and has been connecting major dots about how to guide us into higher earth energies. Laura has a deep understanding of Gaia Sophia and our divine blueprint, Christ Sophia, and how they connect to the how they connect to the Venus transits, Earth grids, global alchemy, DNA, and ET races. Her passion is to inspire unity consciousness and bring us back to 0 point, the unified field, and the totality of our divine power. Laura's going to talk to us about the power of the human spirit. Let's all welcome her. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be with all of you and just sharing this space all about expanding consciousness, which is everything. And yeah, so I have a presentation. It's going to kind of start off with just sort of galactic history, and it's more about resonance. Take what resonates and whatever doesn't, of course, it might be something to ponder later. But really, when I think of the word truth, I feel it's such an inward energy or thing that we claim within ourselves, living our truth. And that frequency is everything right now. So I will do the share screen. So it's all about moving into higher earth energies, the power of the human spirit. That's my website, cosmicgaia.org. And you can find out all about what I do, and the events I do are posted. Okay, so kind of starting here, because when we're looking at what it's going to take to move into higher earth energies, it's good to be able to reflect on, what happened along the way to get us to this point. Similar to just in our own personal lives, if we're trying to heal from childhood wounds or traumas, you have to kind of get in touch with it enough to know what you're dealing with in order to be able to do the repair work. And so that's what I feel like we're doing on a collective level. So this is just based in a lot of research that I've done. Usually I start off with, and I don't have this slide, but a little bit more about myself as far as where I have gotten my information. A lot of it was downloads. I was overwhelmed as a kid, just getting all sorts of just things coming in, and Eisenhower's spirit was very close to me. And I definitely knew that there was a reason I was born into the family, after just being like, you just kind of get raised in a family, and it's like, oh, wow, there's pictures of our family members in books and interstate highways, and you're just kind of growing up like, okay, all right. And I wasn't going down a path of being like in politics or anything, but it had something to do with something much deeper that I feel lines up with something about Eisenhower and his administration. So I have just learned so much from clients that I've worked with, and different researchers and individuals, whistleblowers, and Keelantic Science and Lisa Renee, who's we're really good friends, and that really just helped me to sort of refine the things that I've been downloading and just getting in touch with, and I was writing about since I was a child. So anyway, when the cradle of Lyra was destroyed in the Lyran Wars with Orion groups, this is when the destruction of the avatar level of consciousness took place. This ended up playing out in massive galactic wars between those who seek power at the expense of others, which would be service to self, and those who hold unity consciousness and maintain sacred union in service to others, with the humans that were created being kind of caught in the middle of it, left with the challenge of a choice about which to align with. And that's the free will kind of experience that we're having. Some things, though, are beyond choice when a planet ends up blowing up like Tiamat, which threw us into a lower density experience. So those are the things that kind of come out of left field, right? It's like we experience in our own world when disasters happen and just things just take place, and all of a sudden we're launched into a whole other experience. And then what do we do, right? So anyway, the destruction of advanced civilizations in Sacred Union caused Tara, where Tiamat existed, which are considered to be dimensions 4, 5, and 6, which corresponds to our DNA and chakra system, to fall into dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and everything drastically changed. More planets came into the picture too. Both Tara and Tiamat exploded, and it took thousands of years for the split to occur. And so 2 pieces of Tiamat became Earth and Maldek. Now, some people might research this and have a completely different feel about what actually happened. So it's important just to stick with what you feel is truth. It's more about understanding, though, what we're rebuilding and getting as close as possible to the truth. And this is, with all the research and all the different areas of this that I looked at, this has made the most sense to me in just sort of a compilation over the course of a few decades. So the blue dragon Tara and blue dragon Tiamat are twin sister Sophionic planets. Lisa Renee was actually talking about this in her newsletter. And this system, just like, that was like the fall. We separated from the 7 higher heavens and have been in the 7 chakra system and patriarchy, and it blocked us from accessing the bridge to the rest of ourselves and this greater sort of unity consciousness, unified field. Our 7 chakras have been implanted and spiritual knowledge has been distorted. And I'm not saying that's for everyone, right? The 7th chakra opens us up to a lot. Sometimes we don't realize that we might be tapping into way more than just our 7th chakra, but the distortions I'm talking about just have to do with belief systems, implants, frequency modulations, and distorted texts that people have adopted as being the way to get to God. And some of those things can be very, very helpful. But if one is not able to break free of some of the distortions that they hold, then we become very limited. And so our task is to rebuild the architecture of our divine template and gather our pieces together. And many of us have specific missions to be able to do this. Our families and relationships are where this mostly plays out. I think we all can agree that when you're in a personal relationship, there's a lot of working out ancestral patterns or just family relations and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we are very much born into these situations and attract these situations to do this greater work. And when we're more conscious and mindful of it, we can just accelerate the process and do extraordinary things versus kind of looping in patternings and just regurgitating what we're told and taught, or just inheriting that pattern and continuing with it. You know, when we can break it, when we can activate it, when we can move it to the next level, I mean, then we're a person that is really embodied in their divine purpose and mission, because we were all born into this wound and we've all incarnated into different storylines in order to do the repair work. When we're not conscious to that, we are very much just pulled into the matrix system that doesn't maybe appreciate the deeper soul purpose. And it can be a stepping stone to begin to discover it, because there's going to be synchronicities and intuition that lights up. But there's a lot that's making it difficult right now on the planet to access that. So it's important that we understand what the planetary aspects are and what we're up against. So some of this information, like I said, is inspired from the Lisa Renee material. I blend my awareness and how I present things in this context and our close relationship, and we're in, just have conversations about it. So when I look at like the 7 chakra system and the cleansing of these energy centers, I kind of go into the, 7 virtues or 7 deadly sins. So if we have anything like pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth, I mean, I might think of some other things that would be, and the word sin to me, I like the word correction, but the things that throw us off into negative ego patternings, we go into dark night of the soul, kind of cleansing, doing the inner work. And when we do the inner work, we find our inner treasures. When we just are able to just face ourselves, look at our patternings, we begin to, find the 7 virtues. If we already felt like we were born holding the 7 virtues, we might be up against people that, have those darker energies that might come at you, might seem to be okay, and then they're not okay. And so it's just a very difficult scenario with many different storylines of how we're going to rebuild this and clear this and purify this on a humanity level. So the 7 virtues would be purity, generosity, patience, kindness, discipline, conservation, diligence, humility. And these kind of things can just begin to purify, just kind of do the cleaning work, where we can take responsibility within ourselves to redeem ourselves, forgive ourselves, and forgive others, and begin to switch on a lot more. But in our society, a lot of the things that want to keep us in a low vibration are being encouraged and being pushed on our kids. So yeah, those are the old terms of those things. And I mean, I'm sure there's other words people feel more resonant with when you think of what is happening in the world. But yeah, so back to sort of the roots. The fall is the result of excessive misuse of free will choice that eventually jeopardized the eternal life expression and continued existence of cosmic order. Like humans and other biological individuals, planets and galaxies also have a soul matrix of which we're all a part of. We're connected to the planetary consciousness and all the planets. So if there were exploded planets, which some believe Tiamat and Maldek were the same, but from what I've come to understand, it's not quite that picture, but it had a lot to do with the template of the masculine and feminine and holding that. So if we existed on a planet that exploded and we're part of that planetary consciousness, we carry a very ancient trauma and deeper soul calling to reclaim aspects and rebuild something that got sort of shattered. So after these kind of things happen, and we sunk down into the lower harmonic universe, there were the 7 root races and 5 cloister races and the planetary grid network. And the 7 root races like Polaris, Hyperborea, Atlantis, Lemuria, and on. And then the 5 cloister races that represent like star seeds. This 7 plus 5 is the 12-strand DNA. So really the planetary grid network and us coming in with different pieces are meant to put the pieces back together so we can help switch each other on, so we can rebuild the architecture of our DNA that got compromised through things like hybridization as well, and manipulation of incarnate consciousness, and lower creator gods just kind of wanting to cast veils. And there's a lot of different mythologies and a lot of things in Gnostic texts and a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of people have explored. But just to get down to like not going into all that, because it doesn't matter how we find our way to just what is necessary. This is what my focus is. Because there's a lot of different ways to get to the same point. We're not all going to see it the same way or remember things the same way and maybe didn't experience it the same way. But the whole point is we are rebuilding. And when we rebuild the architecture of our DNA and we begin to switch it on, we move into higher earth energies, because encoded in our DNA are higher harmonic universes and all those levels of everything up into the avatar matrix, the Lyra system that we hold genetic connection with. So during the Atlantean cataclysm, about 26,000 to 30,000 years ago, this is when the planetary stargates, the planetary grids, and ley lines became controlled by the negative alien races. So that would just be just fallen energies, service to self. So there's a lot of different types of species, but really it just comes down to you're either all for you or you're just here for all. So what I really love about Lisa Renee's work is helping us to understand what happened to the mother energy, because the Tiamat and Tara were Sophionic bodies, like manifestations of the Sophionic energy. And when those exploded, that Akamoth energy is what ended up becoming harnessed. And this reversal mother is the anti-female collective consciousness of the Satanists, who accumulated collective consciousness is harvested by the negative alien agenda to gain energetic power from the Earth grid and from humanity by hijacking and raping the female and mother principle energies. Thus, in order to gain full access to siphon the planetary consciousness energies, as well as the human soul, they have set up global misogyny and sexual misery programs that further spread the satanic forces to take power and control on the earth. This is the anthropic system put in place and all controller pillars of society in order so that they can continue to hijack all aspects of the female consciousness and all its permutations, such as the fallen goddess consciousness energies, which gives them access to the earth energies in order to achieve their total control and enslavement agenda of humanity. So I know it's like, oh gosh, this is about expanding consciousness. Where's she going? Well, totally going to get to that. So this is very much, though, the symbolism of the inverted pentagram or five-pointed star, so prevalent in Satanism. It's also symbolic of this unbroken time cycle, the vibrational prison. The fifth element connects to alchemy, though, our throat chakra. This is the power to overcoming it. It comes down to the power of our words. Like we heard with the last guest, the beautiful music, how this music can just touch parts of you and release emotion and just help to just get that circulation back, because inversion creates health issues, creates emotional issues, mental disorders, and everything that the medical industry creates diagnoses from. So we want to be more empowered to know how to heal this and be in a greater circulation. Not to say that there aren't important, people in their fields that have extraordinary knowledge and skills to help individuals. I think it's really important that we can expand our consciousness so that we can begin to do this ourselves and work with the elements of nature, because we're elemental beings. So mass biological and mind control devices exist well beyond the technology of implanting tiny physical chips into humans, which accompanied many of the abductions by the Greys and non-benevolent Zetas, and are also an impending application of such electronic devices by the one world government to the population. Even brain signatures radiated by government HARP and Gwen towers are relatively superficial compared with ancient existing global grid systems, which can be used for manipulating the evolution of all life on the planet, including the planet's evolution itself. And that's global grid systems. And I thought this wasn't going to be on YouTube, and this was more like so if I'm crossing the line with like censorship stuff, I know this is a very difficult subject, but I mean, this is kind of what we're dealing with. And if we, want to just move beyond it, it's just so important to know. So if I understand if like some of this you might not feel comfortable sharing, so I apologize if I'm bringing like more than but when you see the end, it's like, it's really good. So anyway, once a person becomes addicted to the bait that is presented in all forms of manipulation and deception, the architecture of this control system hooks into you and takes your vital force. This is what feeds the technologies, and it goes off planet as well. Our free energy has been used as a weapon against us. Different false archetypes are played out, and they are rewarded and encouraged in our society, and disclosures coming from us. And our job is to recover from all the assaults, social engineering, and thousands of years of trauma. Artificial intelligence systems have been designed and weaponized, specialized for emotional and ultimately spiritual harassment. This is so that the emotional and spiritual energies get lowered to the level that a machine can entrain, follow, mimic, match, record, modify, and replicate that energetic blueprint. If our consciousness is above this and not in the program, we aren't as impacted. We're working in a completely different dimensional energy. And what we are able to do from that expanded consciousness is more than we might, remember. So I'm just going to kind of skip some of that kind of stuff. But when people talk about bifurcation of time, this is kind of a good picture to look at. So an ascending hub would be the high frequency. It's more stable. It has grounding. The tree of life template, which is our true DNA structure, has roots. It's connected to Mother Earth. It's a tree that branches and it spans into just the multidimensional and spirit realms. The descending hub, which is unstable, is very much about duality, low frequency, divide and conquer, a lot of the programmings and a lot of the fear tactics and a lot of the things that are pushing people to the edge. But in these times of adversity are when we can begin to remember. So why are we being pushed to the edge? Because we are being reminded that we need to feel better about falling back on ourselves and what's inside of us and what surrounds us as far as Mother Earth, and to love whatever might seem to be against us, knowing that it too probably wants to come home. It just got lost along the way, maybe got blackmailed, maybe is compromised. And so for a greater healing to occur, connecting to the unconditional love of Mother, Father, God, whatever resonates with people as far as the creator source is concerned, it's important we hold space for a greater transformational process to happen. But of course, people are going to make their own choices and they will have their own soul experience. And there's only so much a person could do, but leading by example and just being true to you is everything. And just forgiveness, compassion, and whatever, can just keep you in this place of high frequency and neutrality, because neutrality really helps to shield a person and really deflects a lot of the attacks and a lot of the things that are trying to intrude. And so just like a warrior or an athlete faces obstacles in order to gain strength, here we are as humans facing all these obstacles in order to remember who we truly are, so that we can rescue our treasures in these times of adversity instead of get sucked into more amnesia and unconsciousness. So we are now in a cycle of change where the vibration of this world is increasing and helping us to shift out of this lower dense physicality, moving us into higher earth energies, and our DNA strands that have been dormant have the potential to turn back on. This shift is within us. These energies are more available and easier for us to awaken to in these times, and the geophysics of the planet is such where the natural stargates are opening and our DNA is linked to this. The controller agendas seek to shut it all down, and so we have to understand what is being targeted in order to disable it and counteract it. The current astrological climate helps us to understand our inner elementals and how it relates to the nature: earth, air, fire, water, ether. So we're going through a mega kind of global detox. Waking up for people is very painful. We may feel increased sensitivity to the vibration of pain around us, but after every detox, even though you may feel sick while you're in it, because it also lights up old issues, when you get to the other side of it, you just feel so much lighter and transformed and clear. So intent is everything. If you intend to just be on track with your soul purpose and a beautiful future for humanity and yourself, and that is your intention, and you really, really embody that and integrate it into your life, and when you put the right things into your body, and surround yourself with high frequency people. And when I say high frequency, I don't mean it has to vibrate, there's all sorts of chords when it comes to music, but the kind of hertz, like sound healers tap into, that can help us to correct the distortions. These are all ways to deprogram and detox. And when that happens, of course, when everything wants to come to the surface, it's very, very uncomfortable. And sometimes a person gets activated, doesn't realize they're having a detox response that might not come from a supplement or ingesting, something. It can be a frequency. It can be something that somebody said, and something might start to want to loosen itself off the person or release itself off the person. And that reaction can be symptomatic to the point where it can be a little alarming. But if we can kind of breathe through it and realize that, as we kind of detox on a global level, we don't want to mistake those symptoms for something to fear, because the outer narratives are going to want us to do that. Ever since 2019, we are bound to go through a major plutonic cycle. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius, this plutonic energy is taking us on quite the journey. And so we want to be able to work with it more on our own terms in a more empowered way than have that be told to us from outside sources how we should relate to it. And no matter what our choices, no matter what we've agreed to or consented to, you can change that frequency anytime. So it's not about, do this and don't do that. It's what is our greater potential that can actually create miracles and transformation and alchemy. so that you can move forward in your life and not just be like, what was I thinking? I can't believe I believed that. I can't believe I fell for that, because sometimes the ego can't handle that. So we got to be really gentle with ourselves and patient with each other, and just see that there's just a much, maybe more fluid way to go about this, just with shifting the frequency, shifting the mind, freeing the mind, breaking that program or breaking the belief systems that hold you to something toxic that got in your body. Once you break that part, the body getting spiritualized is going to be able to remove it and begin to shift it, because you aren't bound to the energetic frequency of a pathogen, a virus, heavy metal, if they're, overload, or, so we have to be in self-mastery. That's the highest octave of Saturn. The lower octave of Saturn is control and tyranny. So every planetary energy requires us to move to the higher levels of it. And that is part of our growth as the planets connect with our organs and every part of our systems. Our bodies are alerting us with signals to help us to wake up. And if we misunderstand it, we can fall into fear. And then when we get disempowered and it's in somebody else's hands, not everybody's trustworthy. And there are amazing practitioners out there that have helped so many people. But, we want to be empowered enough, though, to be able to have the discernment to make the right choices, so that, but we fall down and get back up again. That's part of this free will adventure. And we can just go the wrong route. And you know what? We create correction and we're all the wiser for it. So again, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves for wherever we've been, and not worry too much about where our friends and families are, because we're all gonna eventually return to the core truth of who we are and source, mother, father, creator, mother earth, father, cosmic trinity, divine child, divine template. So here you see the picture of this 8th and 9th chakra, and it's are going around, this person's head. The morphogenetic chakras, they begin to galactivate an identity to multiple awarenesses of star intelligences, other identities and lifetimes, just such a bigger kind of picture grasp of consciousness. The morphogenetic chakra 8 is gold, morphogenetic chakra 9 is silver, and it's all about the male-female balance. So we have the capacity to switch on dormant DNA and activate these galactic chakras through recognizing the importance of this integration. And the reason I shared the slides in the very beginning about Tiamat and Tara and the sacred union and falling into all this and patriarchy is because that level of imbalance of the masculine and feminine and the manipulation of the planetary grid network, which was originally just holding the electric magnetic energies in the crystalline grids and dragon grids and just all the different levels and layers of how this system really functions, our true inheritance, has been just really pulled apart and distorted and messed with dark technologies. And so when I mentioned, the Nephilim reversal grid and these different tactics that have impacted the planetary grid network, we are born into that generation after generation, and we mistake that for reality. So an easier way to just sort of look at how to expand and just move into these higher levels is just, knowing that we're restoring a true love story within ourselves. We're not imbalanced within ourselves. We're not suppressing our intuition and our feelings and our spiritual nature. We're not ego-driven. That would be imbalanced. Or we're not so overly sensitive and victimized to the point where we don't know how to stand up for ourselves and we don't know how to be courageous. I mean, every single one of us has something we need to find balance with, our right and left brain, our masculine and feminine. And when we begin to do that integration work, we begin to switch things on, and we notice that the quality of our partnerships change. We're more willing to leave toxic relationships and embrace ones that are willing to do the work with us or are like right there with us. So level 1 building wings is like the 60, 70 chakras. Level 2, crystal lotus heart, 8th and 9th. Level 3, Hyros Gamos, Christos, hydroplasmic light, 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's the avatar consciousness. So when you look at the 8 and 9, that's the spiral around the head. The 6 and 7 is the third eye, seventh chakra. So when the seventh chakra isn't limited by implants, distortions, belief systems that keep us kind of looping, we begin to access something so much greater. And that sort of energetic circulation and what it does to everything in our circulatory system, nervous system, endocrine system, our organs, our cells, just our brain, just everything that needs to expand. Our energy centers even change, and they actually change vibration and color. So that's something to look forward to. We have so much to explore within this human vessel, and it's our right, if we're born into this body, if we're a soul born into this body, to discover all we possibly can about what this holds and what the potential of it shows. So here's the universal tree of life grid, shows all the different harmonic universes that are encoded in our DNA. If we're operating in the lower 3, that's 3D physical dimension. So moving into, when people talk about moving into 5D, 4D, that's when we start to move into the semi-physical dimensions and move into places of, okay, how does it correspond with our chakras? Heart, throat, third eye. And if we can begin to really open those up and have them completely clear, then what we speak can begin to create the alchemy. Because to me, our throat chakra is really where that ether element, the fifth element, can do the real cleansing, because our thoughts become words. Our thoughts become words, become reality. So we want to clear all that and make sure that we're connected to the higher dimensions of where we access dreams and visions and just purity and unconditional love, just source energy, 0-point unified field, neutrality, where we can really shield ourselves. We want to invite that fully into our body and into our throat, so that when we speak, we inspire others, we switch people on, we make people feel safe. And we don't make them, they just do, because that energy speaks to them, just like music. You just feel it, you know it, it's a harmonic, and it's a resonance. And so it's very important that we do that integration work, and we do the cleaning, cleansing, and clearing that we need when we notice that something's blocked up. And so we're being hit in many, many ways, but it's just sort of like if if somebody throws mud at your house, you're going to wipe it off. If you got dishes to clean, you're going to wash the dishes. We have to be just as vigilant. We have to be just as determined to have the same level of discipline to have purified spaces in all our energy centers, for us to not feel so chaotic or just kind of lost in the madness of everything that's going on in the world. Because once we achieve that, then what can really touch us? Something might try, but if you master the ability to deflect it with neutrality and work on not overreacting, having a bit more control over the emotions or the feeling of being threatened, sometimes energy can deflect a person way more than combat. The warring energy, yeah, I mean, this is more about galactic history we don't have to get into, but it's just all about the origins of how the masculine and feminine got so out of whack. And if people do a replay and you want to just read that, I just probably don't have enough time to go through every slide, but I just wanted to just really just look at those origins of how this repair work has gotten so much more than maybe we can imagine, knowing that there's exploded planets and the planetary grid network has been messed with, and things that happened after the Second World War. I mean, dark technologies, all these different tactics, everything that's streaming at us through technology is literally just wanting it to stay in a place of imbalance. And we absolutely at any moment can make that choice to say, I do not consent to that. I do not want to go there. I don't want that kind of relationship with creation. I don't want that kind of relationship with myself. I don't want that kind of relationship with my friends or partners or my family. And if others don't want to show up and match you on that, I mean, we can have boundaries and just love them from afar and be there as a resource for when they're safe and ready to do the work on themselves, to match that frequency, vibration, and devotion to doing this important and necessary work on the planet right now. So going into a little bit of the astrology, and I know I'm talking to people that don't need to hear this, but yeah, astrology in the current times is labeled the pseudoscience, which is used to discredit its validity and purpose in studying the laws of structure to keep humanity ignorant of the study of the astronomical patterns. And I'm just going to kind of skip ahead and just say, without deeper knowledge and awareness of how these astronomical patterns impact us, 3D human consciousness goes on autopilot, uninformed of the massive forces and influences to which they're exposed to every day. So we want to have self-knowledge. The tree of knowledge is all about the duality of good and evil. So where do we find knowledge? Self-knowledge, knowledge of just nature. We are just so much a part of that. We're elemental beings. Our DNA and our chakra system and everything about us is completely connected to the original planetary grid network and this organic ascension timeline. We can only be tricked out of our divine inheritance through the mind, through belief systems, through consenting, through agreeing, because of being dropped into a low vibration of fear or struggling with traumas and having lack of self-worth and allowing things in. And so we all have to really just move through these, more difficult times and continue to hold this as strongly as we can. So I shared this astrological report recently, and to read through it might take up too much time because I think, yes, this is only an hour. I shared it on my blog, but it's talking about the fact that Pluto's moving into Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. And that's happening very soon, March 23rd. Last time that happened was during the window of like 1778 to 1798. These 2 decades are filled with quite the list of events that represent liberation. So Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus, conjunct the North Node in Taurus for some time. And the North Node really represents, when it comes to planetary transits, a growth period for humanity. What is important for humanity to integrate? The South Node would have a lot to do with what are we emerging from? What are we reflecting upon, which is Scorpio. So the Plutonic energy we're reflecting upon. How do we relate to that Scorpionic Plutonic energy? Are we afraid of death? Are we still kind of locked in the cocoon or the birth canal? Can we emerge? Can we begin to integrate the polarity of Taurus, the polarity that's an earth sign, and do the transformative, regenerative, alchemical work to begin to emerge out of the old paradigm and embrace the fullness of all that we are? Because this is awakening. This is what awakening is. So with Pluto moving into Aquarius, that's going to help us to kind of let go of whatever we might still be holding on to. And it's not an easy process. It will help us to release just old beliefs and transform those into greater, just empowered visions of what we're capable of, what our true potential is, what we can envision and what we can manifest. And Pluto takes us on a bit of a dark night of the soul as the initiation into a sign begins. But if we can breathe into it and connect with Mother Earth and the purging, the mourning, and release of the old paradigm that is dying, who kind of wants to take us down with it, we will just realize that, what we're letting go of is ready to fall away from us. And what's emerging is something to really, really look forward to. This is an incredible, powerful initiation right now. And how it's inverted and how the psyops are created to make that really difficult is what we have to watch out for. So remember, Uranus upgrades us. It can set us free from all the frequency modulations and false narratives that will continue to put people in a vulnerable place. And we must access fully the higher mind, embody it as a way of life, and not fall for any lies or deceptions. So when we embody it as a way of life, we trust it. We don't go into self-doubt. We don't live a life that contradicts it. We don't kind of just think, oh yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I had that thought. I mean, I hear so many clients say that all the time. And it's just like, no, that's the thing to really stay true to. And anyway, the Aquarius energy and the Uranus energy is very much about being authentic, being true to yourself, and being inventive. So it's going to be very much on your own terms, very much about what ideas are coming into you, not what somebody outside of you is telling you. But it's not you wanting to control anybody because it's coming at you. You're going to be sovereign and respect other people's process as well. And then that's the prerequisite to unity consciousness. If we can all appreciate and love each other for who we are and harmonize that together, that's true oneness and what the Aquarian age is all about. Diversity and harmony, like musical instruments playing beautiful music together. And we have to fully know ourselves, know who we are, what we're passionate about, what inspires us, what we're ready to break free from, without worrying about what anybody thinks. It's a time to just have that courage. And in doing that, you invite other people to do that as well. And that's not divide and conquer. It doesn't mean you look down on the person that's not quite there yet. You're leading by example, and you are a holder of a frequency that can act like I like to call it 5D tower. You are a human in a advanced biological human body that is the most advanced technology of all. It overrides every dark technology out there trying to make you smaller than you think you are. So lots of planets in Pisces right now, and they're helping us expand into our creative imagination. It's helping us to access dreams and visions we can manifest. Also helping with forgiveness of self and others. And, and there's a lot to clear in the Neptune energies, because it connects to the creative imagination. Where has that creative imagination been infected with belief systems? So a lot of the Plutonic energies in Uranus are going to really help activate those waters and begin to clear the frequency of the water energy so that we can move into higher dimensional energies and access things in our creative imagination and do what others might deem impossible. So if somebody says, no, you can't heal that, or that's not curable, or that's putting a limit on somebody. When we reach into the creative imagination of all that's possible, and we hold that intent and we integrate it and we allow it to be our teacher so that it can change our lifestyle, so that it can begin to clear out the things that might stand in the way, so that we can begin to notice the synchronicities that support its manifestation. This is where we hear all these miracle stories of people walking again after the doctor told them they wouldn't never be able to walk again, or they got over cancer and they were told they only had 2 years to live, or they would have to have this particular thing happen or surgery, and it's not to discredit any doctors, it's like, but we have a choice in those moments to maybe just see, is there a greater potential I can tap into? And we're being asked to do that as a collective right now, when more and more is being thrown at us to make us possibly think that the future is not looking so bright. We do not need to consent with that. We can say, oh, watch, I'll actually do this instead. Thank you. And when you're determined and that becomes what you embody, you're pretty untouchable. So it can't just be a concept. It has to be embodied. And Taurus being an earth sign really helps with this. When it's not integrated, it can cause anxiety and panic. It's a high vibrational electrical energy that affects our nervous system. And anyway, to read the full blog, you can go on my website about just my little astro report. I didn't really go as far into it as I would have liked to in the blog. But anyway, we're at a really, really amazing time. This window period is all about awakening and expansion. As of 2009, 2012, there was a major timeline shift. And I'll just share this part of it. You can read the rest. And this is connected to what I've learned in Keylontic science and also from Lisa Renee. And what I was intuiting and what I had felt was this window period, this really important time that our planet went beyond this sort of unconscious state. 2012 was always standing out to a lot of people as a prophesized date. But what it actually was all about is preparing for the return of the 13th gate pillar of Mother Arc, the return of the goddess energy, the return of the mother energy into the planetary body, the diamond heart. So we'll feel into this mother energy more and more and recognize this power more and more within ourselves as we move through the months of November 30th to December 17th. So this the sun started to move through Ophiuchus in 2010, right around the time of that 2012 when the hosting shifted and it returned to the mother, right? That's why a lot of technologies like Looking Glass couldn't see past 2012, and a lot of just people trying to see, okay, where are we all heading? Well, it's more about the power of suggestion. Where do you think you're heading? And that's why mind control, indoctrination, and steering narratives and throwing out psyops is the name of the game, because as long as they can convince you and take that energy and infect you with it, then you're going to help them manifest a future that doesn't look very bright. So you don't have to go there. This is a time of like purification. This is the 13th gate. It's the 0-point unified field. It's the ether, the fifth element, and it's connected to the creatrix connectivity, pure, transparent, crystalline light, divine mother, and the cleansing power of cosmic love. It recodes the DNA, aligns us to the cosmic heart of the Lyra and Andromedan universal center, rebirthing, cleansing the blood, breath, and mitochondria. And it's all about the cosmic ether and the galactic cores of Milky Way and Andromeda being one again. But bringing that Andromeda energy back and that galactic core connection happening is really just why this essence is being able to be so much more available. And the Venus transits have brought this about. So for thousands and thousands of years, the Venus transits have been creating corrections of these inversions, and how that has just been so symbolic of all the imbalance, all the toxicity, all the things that make humans constantly loop in epidemics and injustices and world wars and all these things that are basically engineered to keep us disempowered and to keep something else in power that is just playing behind the scenes and playing a lot of tricks on us, because we're born with amnesia and we don't need to forget anymore. So I could go into more detail. I want to just watch the time, but this sort of shows just how DNA, the nucleic acids of our DNA, are connected to the elements, air, water, fire, ether. In both DNA and RNA, the mitochondrial DNA serves as the fifth principal element of cosmic ether, which is sourced only from the mother. So through the mitochondrial DNA damage, humanity has been grossly addicted to consuming everything in the external world to fill this energy void, including information, including just giving your power away and listening to outer authority. It's just, humans just, they have a lostness that they can't even comprehend where it's coming from because of just not having this really available. It's been damaged. So looking at what Ophiuchus represents and the return of that ether energy, the mitochondrial DNA is healing. The ether energy is available to purify nucleic acids of our DNA. And when we heal and purify within, the earth responds to us. That's how we move into higher earth energies. We have to do it within ourselves to play the most important role in divine purpose on this planet, because that, affects the collective more than we can imagine. So anchoring our visions and energies and nurturing the seeds of our dreams through consistently energizing them will help us to co-create the future. Out with the old and in with the new. We're cosmic gardeners of our consciousness. If we notice something come up and it's a pattern or a trigger, we're just weeding. We have to be conscious and mindful of keeping the spaces clear and pure and being honest with ourselves and each other, so that when a wound comes up, we're not acting out and we're not in the blame, shame, victim game. We have to pay attention to our wounds with the most amount of self-compassion we can muster. And that's how we truly grow in oneness with the earth and in unity consciousness. Being conscious from the minute we wake up until we go to bed is really just, what are we eating? What are we watching? What are we thinking? And do we have the power to change that if it's not taking us in a place we like? Is it starting to produce a headache or physical symptoms? Or anyway, there's going to be physical symptoms probably for all sorts of reasons, but the most important thing is that you're initiating the ones that have to do with cleansing, detoxing, purification, and removing your mind and your creative energy from things that do not serve you and do not have to be hooked into you. Epigenetics. Science is proving that our body's ability to heal and repair itself is greatly affected by our beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and intentions, for they have a profound vibrational effect upon our continually evolving genetic code. We're the programmers of the code. DNA activation is our software upgrade. And so I know everybody knows the Hawkins power versus force and how frequency works. And so when we drop down into the lower frequencies, which is inevitable, we're human, So we can hold space for that, feel into it, and just work our way back up. And that's why it rains, right? We have water element. So when we need to cry, we need to cry. We need to get that out of our body. You know, when the clouds are full, it needs to rain and the sun comes out again. So when we go into these places, we just need to release. We can't internalize. If we internalize, we have energy blocks, we get sick. So we want to just move through. When we have anger, the volcano wants to blow, but we want to do it with wisdom. We want to do it with respect for those around us so that nobody gets hurt. We're elemental beings. We have to embrace earth, air, fire, water. And when that ether comes in saying, this is the unconditional love coming in from creator source to purify, we can accept that and allow it to give us permission to release without judgment. But let's just do it with wisdom and mindfulness. And if we can't do it with wisdom, let's at least do it with truth, be true to ourselves, because once we get through that process, that's where I feel the wisdom comes in. And that's the energy of the crone who has navigated the dark night of the soul, found the lantern of light, of truth and wisdom in the darkness, and holds wisdom beyond what we can imagine, because it's connected to nature, Mother Earth, who has all the antidotes and cures and medicine for her children. If we hold on to programmings or belief systems that are not in alignment with our higher self, yes, we can get assimilated into artificial timelines. But if a soul needs to go on that journey to then figure out how to get its way back again, I mean, we can do all we can to say, hey, you don't have to go that route, but let's not fear the larger picture of it all. So the Venus transits here, you can see, show just how it's been creating this correction of the inversions with spirit pointing upward, the ether energy. And when the ether energy points upward, it can begin to clear the air, the water, the fire, the earth. When it's inverted and there's something controlling us and we forget who we are, the water, air, earth, fire becomes contaminated, it becomes misused, it becomes polluted. And we're seeing a world that is showing us that humanity still has a ways to go as far as purifying and clearing. And I think this is just an outer reflection of the state of consciousness of humanity, the amount of all of this that we're seeing, because I really feel the minute we're switched on, the weaponry is going to be dismantled because we are the higher technology. So the most nutrient energy gift we can give ourselves is our own personal sun, our own vital life force, the light of spirit that radiates from within, that also connects with the core sun within the earth and the grand central sun of the cosmos. It generates warmth, vitamins, balance, peace, and vitality. And when one is conscious of it, it draws back any of its life force that had been siphoned away and used against us. This depletion happens when we are in disunity or negativity, which manifests when we are not treating ourselves or one another with kindness and respect, or when we don't stand our ground to vampiric forces. The only true spiritual discipline is paying attention to this. DNA damages to make this connection challenge, but all we need to do is tell ourselves that we'll take this challenge on because we know we can heal, because spirit holds dominion over matter. And that's what these times are about. The Sophionic energy that's connected to this planet. Just, you know, you can go back and, or I don't know how many more slides, but okay. It's the mother's feminine aspect of wisdom that returns to reclaim the earth's brain. That's the return of the mother. And the story of just the Baphomet and the inversions, I can only touch upon, and I know so many already know this kind of information. It is she who merges with the masculine active principle of power in order to actively or accurately envision what has become of the earth. It is Sophia's return into matter through Mother Arc that sees the truth of the recorded hidden histories and the abusive technologies located in the planetary, solar, galactic, and universal logos. This is why the Archons inherently hate Sophia, as she can perceive what they cannot, as it is in this activated superpower that she will defeat them. That is the planetary body. That is our divine inheritance. That's our inner mother. It's in our divine blueprint. The spark of that Sophionic energy is within all to wake up to. So it's very important for us to know that it's within men and women, of course, and the integration of polarities, that inner union, that inner marriage. And that's how we expand consciousness, is to have that level of love, to reconcile just the imbalances within us, to know that we deserve true love, and that the greater universal parents are all about that unconditional love. And what we've been handed, what has been modeled to us, what has been distorted through religion and handed to us as a patriarchal misrepresentation of that union, we have to let go of and upgrade. It doesn't mean it's all negative and it was all bad. Let's take the pieces that worked for us and let's dump the stuff that doesn't and move into a higher place of spiritual sovereignty and truth. And this is from the Gospel of Peace, the Essene's Gospel of Peace. And it's just really good way to kind of close. And your mother is in you. And she bore you. She gives you life. It was she who gave to you your body, and to her shall you one day give it back again. Happy are you when you come to know her and her kingdom. If you receive your mother's angels and if you do her laws, I tell you truly, he who does these things shall never see disease. For the power of our mother is above all, and it destroys Satan and his kingdom and has rule over all your bodies and all living things. So you can just read the rest of that line, but that's in the original teachings of Yeshua, Jesus. And it's a beautiful sort of close. I think I might have more slides, but I know I kind of probably have to come to an end. And that might be a good way to end because it's 3:30 Pacific time. But maybe just end on this note, that in this darkness before the dawn, a band of freedom fighters rises from the few indigenous clans and tribes that remain. These are the children of light who carry the wisdom of the ancients. These are the planet protectors who follow the path of honor. These are the awakened wizards who play for peace. These are the wind warriors. And you can read the first paragraph. As the planet nears the new millennium, the fate of civilization dangles in the balance. An age of peace and enlightenment is held hostage by evildoers of darkness, warlords and eradicators of the environment, plot to wipe out the ancient ways of people and drain dry the life force of Mother Earth. And here are we, expanding our consciousness and saying, we are freedom fighters here. We are all sovereign and we all carry a very, very important divine purpose to rise up and not allow this, not consent to it, not allow our energies to be drained dry, and to be in communion with Mother Earth and be in this beautiful relationship that is so like much our soul longing, so much unconscious to people that is what we really are longing for. And of course it's in union with the Father. And that's what births the divine child. And that ability to be in the now, to be neutral, and to just be in divine innocence and know that you can be just able to create beautiful things from that place of being present with your truth and with integrity. Okay.
Laura, I love your conviction and your passion and just the information and the wisdom, because regardless of the fall of consciousness and how we got here, there's hope, and you're showing us the way, and we got this. Don't you think we've got this? We've got this.
We're doing it.
We are. And
doing
you pulling together a gathering like this is just everything, because you just
yes.
you know it. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. It's so important. And, part of everything that we're experiencing now is just literally starting with me following my guidance. And that's what I want for everyone, is to tune into that higher power, the gifts that we have, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, tuning into the support team around you, unlimited, magnified, super light beings on the planet right now, helping every one of you. And Laura pointed that out. We've come a long way. Yeah, we have a ways to go, but we're going to do it. We're crossing that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
We're enlightening and we're empowering. And, we have shifted literally the energy together in these last couple of days. I don't want to grandiose it too much, but, my partner's a bit of a prophet too. And she says, what we've created here today will go down in history. It has shifted the consciousness. And it's not just us. It's us tapping into what's already happening, to the power of the equinox, the power of this moment. And then she also says, in the great audition, when you wanted to come to Earth and be in human form right now, you knocked everybody over to get the part. You wanted to be here right now. You literally said, go like this, I'm going to be human in 2023. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get a part, and I'm going to be magnificent. And that's why we're here. It's incredible. And you're right there, Laura, just demonstrating that, I love your passion too. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's really been wonderful to be here.
Do you want to talk about your
I have
offer?
To your webpage. I have a link to your webpage. By the way, I don't know if I was knocking people down, but I was raising my hand really high to get here.
Well, I don't know. That was, a bit metaphorical, knocking people down. But I'm coming from the teachings of a cat, which are, excuse me, I'm here, I'm first. Step aside.
Ah,
And that's why I cried this morning when I spoke the words. We all came for New Earth. We came for this. We came for this. Know it in our bones. We know it. Okay. All right. I'd like to share my screen. Let's see. Oh, hold on real quick here. And I'm going to bring up your website, Laura, because you've got your beautiful, hold on. Oops, yikes. Let's see. Just one moment here. Okay. There we go. All right. Let me share my screen and we can look at Laura's website where you can get in touch with her. You can get her blog, subscribe to her products for purchase, all of her super beautiful things on her page, Moringa. Oh my goodness, all this good stuff. And so there was a webinar as well. What was the price of that webinar? Is that free?
I gave you guys the link, but no worries. If you go to the homepage, just go back to the homepage. I do have subscriptions. And it comes with Zoom calls. There's an event coming up. It comes with Zoom calls. It comes with discounted sessions, and you can book a session. And yeah, subscribing to the channel just gives you access to censorship-free material. And it's just a really wonderful thing to just come together, do readings, share stories, and then I host people and they can bring their beautiful gifts and just passions and inspirations and whatever they want to bring to the table in these meetings. So in these gatherings. So yeah, there's a download I gave you, and if you can just give it to people who signed up, you can have it. It's a former webinar I did. It covers some of the same topics, but not everything. It's a little bit different. And it features some really inspiring artists that have an incredible message. And it's just something that I just wanted to give people. I had a talk that I didn't put out to the public that I wanted to get copies of, but I wasn't able to do it, unfortunately, because of tech issues. But anyway, thank you for sharing my site. And I've just been it's been wonderful to be a part of this. I'm so grateful you guys did this, and everybody that is here, I look forward to listening to. It's been really beautiful.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, what a beautiful ending to this weekend of passion, love. See, I'm going to start crying again. I won't. But it's good because, like I said, we could all give up. And when I was listening to Emmanuel, I remembered we could give up, hearing the fall of consciousness. We could give up. We could just throw up and just throw our arms up in the air and just be like, okay, I'm done. I want to leave the planet. I know many people feel that way. But guess what? We don't get to do that because we're here now and we've got this. We do have this. We have it. Got it. So with this, Lori, I would like to give you a moment to share a message. Look at Puda sitting there so regal, standing now.
She's amazing. We're sitting here the whole time and being a part of this, energetically holding space for all of you. For those that don't know, she's an aspect of the ancient soul of Seth. So the more telepathic I become with this soul, the more I understand the different things that are a part of our galactic and even our cosmic history and how we are transcending this all right now. It's very good to be aware of your past. It's very good to be aware of your history as you wipe the sleep from your eyes, the amnesia, and we come into full consciousness now of your starseed family and the support team you have around you. I like what Crown says sometimes is when you're feeling alone and you feel like, you might throw up your hands and give up because it's a tough day, just take a look around and know that the team that you have around you, and that's part of my work, is to connect you to that through your telepathy. They're here and they never leave you. You can go in the closet and you can cry and close the door and give up, but they're in there making popcorn and they're tickling you and they're going, come on, you can do it. We're here together. Master Put always says you're a package of four because you have three incredible guides that are supporting you. Just you. Can you imagine that? That's how important you are. Three incredible guides that are with you. And not to mention the other support beings that are around you, like the whales and the dolphins and the angels. So have faith, and know that your soul is embodied here right now for a magnificent purpose. You're amazing. Every single one of you, you wouldn't be here. So I came to hear this morning that this affirmation might be appropriate right now for me to share. So just close your eyes and let this come into your body. This is 2023 soul affirmation. I reconnect spirit and body, heaven and earth, so that my body and soul are one. My soul connects to my heart center in love and peace. I manifest from soul and spirit into matter, following the laws of divine creative power and balance. I create a garden of peace and creativity within my heart and soul that manifests all around me. I am connected to the powerful flow of divine creative intelligence as I direct this flow into magical manifestation through the intention and focus I have. I live without fear, without expectations and attachments, but simply in the flow of love, creativity, and divine manifestation. I release the hold of duality and the shadow in my life. I am ready now to embrace love, creativity, and my magic. I flow with the powerful divine light codes and currents without fear. I am ready to balance myself between heaven and earth and to step forward as a master of these energies right here, right now, today on earth. I am that I am. So be it, and so it is. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for your bright light this weekend. We totally felt you in our energetic container of this very sacred space. And we are forever changed. Let this information carry you forward in courage, in boldness, in strength, in confidence. New Earth, we got it. Okay, no more tears.
So Lauren and I are always creating something new, and we'd just like to take a minute now. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to tell you a little bit about our next adventure, which is coming up in June. Some of you might know that last year we created the Awakening in Lemuria event, and we held it up in Mount Shasta, and we connected to the ancient Lemurians that live under the mountain, the Telosians. I had an incredible adventure there. We had an online audience, and we had a live audience that attended. And so we're doing the same thing this year with new information, with new remembrances, leading the Lemurians as we wake up, right? So here we go. It's going to be June 19th through the 22nd. The live stream will be for 2 days on the 19th and 20th. And then for those that come in person, on the third day, we're going to Aliso Creek Inn. I'm sorry, it used to be Aliso Creek Inn. It's Aliso Creek Beach to have a sacred ceremony. And we'll be connecting with the crystalline energy that's here in this area of the world. This is why we have so many dolphins here. Working with those energies, we're going to do a global water blessing. We're going to build a medicine wheel on the beach in the sand. And we're going to go back in time a little bit to the time of the Munich and share information on how to create sacred space in your life and call in the power animals that will assist you from the ancient times, just like the Lemurians did. And we're going to have a meditation to go down into the crystalline cave to journey to Mount Shasta, to the etheric city of Telos. So that'll be powerful. And we have incredible speakers, and we have more coming. We don't have the whole website completed yet, but it's quite a few speakers that are really experts in the Lemurian energies, including Loretta and myself. So you can come in person or you can live stream. And then on the fourth day, it's optional. I'm going to take people out on the boat, which is here June 22nd, to see wild and free dolphins. And I'm going to be doing a meditation ahead of the boat trip. And then after the boat trip, we'll gather on the grass and we'll have some sharing and messages from the dolphins and whales that we received while we were out on the boat. So this is a chance to meet some Lemurian family and in the physical and also in the etheric. And just remember more, not to mention a wonderful trip to the area here where I live. These are some of the speakers.
Yes.
Donna Carol Martins is coming. Jean, Lauren. Exciting. Really exciting. San Ra, she was with us last year. She's coming back again. She does this beautiful Lemurian toning and singing. Viviane will be working with the Arcturian energies. It's just something to consider and explore when you have a chance to come to the website for more details.
Yes, put it on your radar. Put it on your radar. Beautiful. All right. So if you wanted to just be in those beautiful energies of the dolphins, beautiful Dana Point, that is where there was a video one year of a dolphin stampede. A stampede. It was huge. It was thousands of dolphins just fluttering in the water.
It's pretty common here to see something like 200 to 2,000 dolphins doing a stampede. That's pretty common. We have over 500,000 dolphins here in this area. That's why I live here. And we believe that part of it is because of the crystalline energy under the ocean itself and into the land. As you know, we're turning that water-based body into a light body, and we're returning to crystalline energy. It's happening right now. And it's all due, of course, to all the support, the consciousness, and the grid systems. But the dolphins and whales are leading the way, and we'd be honored if you'd come and join us either online or in person. If you have any questions, just email us or give us a call. It's going to be really exciting.
And as we say goodbye, I am opening this up for every participant to unmute. Let's see, how fast can I do this? And you can say goodbye to all of us. Share your voice.
Goodbye.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha.
It was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Truly a greater version of myself.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Aloha.
Thanks, everyone. God bless. Thank you. Cheers.
Blessings.
Ciao. Namaste.
Takiwasan.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, everyone. And watch for the email so you'll be able to access the replay for 30 days.
Yes.
And welcome to all the people that'll be coming on to the replay and just seeing us now. We welcome you too. You're here with us.
And actually, if you guys have a moment, I'm putting it in. The replay link is now in the chat line. Before we end this webinar, go ahead and just grab it from the chat line so you have it if you don't see our email, but you'll see our email. If you didn't already see our email this afternoon, you'll see it this evening, and grab that link from our chat line. Okay. Woo! And beautiful, 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 beautiful beings of light. We are. So be it. So it is. Thank you.
It's hard to say goodbye, but we're connected at the heart.
I know. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.